I got you. That's what they make brakes for.
We tested the OEM shocks on the 2019 Tri-Glide. We also tested the OEM shocks with the addition of the convertible comfort lift, and then we tested the 14-inch Trike series shocks with the convertible comfort lift made for the 14-inch Trike series shocks. And at the end, you're going to see charts for each of these different setups. Over the years, we've done this test with many different bikes with many different suspension components, and we found that the best way is to lay down a strip of duct tape right before a bump so that we can hit the bump in exactly the same position each time. We also use the cruise control and set the miles per hour at 40 miles per hour so that we're not only hitting the exact same point, but at the exact same speed with the exact same amount of throttle. You can see that some of the holes are pretty deep. The video might not show it, but that one hole that I just pointed at, it's about 3 inches deep, and it's a pretty good knock, especially with the factory suspension on most Harleys. Anyway, it's hot, sort of irritating work getting that duct tape done, walking about a half mile, 3/4 mile each time. What we're going to look at here is the largest bump that we recorded. The first thing we're going to see is the factory shocks, totally factory configuration, and we'll see that we have 3.8 centimeters of movement of the rear passenger seat one direction, 8.1 centimeters the other direction. So that's 11.9 centimeters of movement for this one bump. And we bring up on the screen the OEM shocks with the addition of the convertible comfort lift, and we see that it moved 2 centimeters one direction, 6.5, so a total of 8.5 centimeters of movement on the passenger seat versus 11.9 centimeters. And that's important. How much it moves is definitely important, but what is far more important is how sharp the bump feels. And if you look up here at the top part that we've circled, those little bumps afterwards, you can see how sharp the points are. And then you move down to the convertible comfort lift, you see the line is thicker and they're not near as sharp of points. And that's because it's rounding that jolting off, making it feel a little bit more soft, a little bit more like a wave. And so that's the benefit of going from the OEM setup on the 2019 shocks. And let's take a minute here. Many people say that the 2019 shocks are a huge improvement over the previous air shocks on the Touring and Trike models, and they are an improvement, but they're not all that. There's still a lot of movement. You can see just by the addition of the comfort lift how much less movement there is and how the bumps are a little bit more rounded off and not quite so sharp as they are with the factory. Now what we're going to look at is the factory shocks versus the 14-inch Trike series shocks. Now instead of the 3.8 and 8.1 for a total of 11.9 of movement, we have 1 centimeter and 5.1 for 6.1 centimeters of movement, which is about half the movement. And that's important. That's very important, and it does make the ride feel better. But what is even more important is looking up at the factory shocks again. See those sharp points of the bumps? Now look down at the Trike series shocks. See how, again, the lines are thicker, but see how rounded they are. That's the difference between being punched in the shoulder and being pushed in the shoulder. One is a jolt and one is more of a wave. So you can just push someone gently in the shoulder, no big deal. You punch them, you might end up with the same amount of movement, but one is a sharp jolt and the other's just a little bit of a push. So less movement, much softer feel to the bumps. And that's the difference between a good ride, a great ride, and then the factory ride.
If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, please subscribe, leave us a comment below. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.